What's up, everybody? It has been a crazy week. Absolutely crazy day. Oh, you can see I'm give you guys a little bit of a look at how I do this stuff here, I guess, since I'm behind. I actually wasn't planning on streaming today, and then so much crazy stuff came out. I mean, that's an understatement, I think. I can't believe all the fights that have been announced this week. And this is a new era of the UFC. I've been critical of a lot of things. I cannot be critical of the fight selection right now. And it's absolutely incredible. We got some dates for today. So here's what we got. We got Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje. That is finalized for March 30th now. We have Yoel Romero versus Paul Costa for April 27th. There's a date for Derek Lewis and Junior Dos Santos. Anderson Silva just arrived in Australia for his fight against Israel Adesanya. And Donald Cerrone versus Conor McGregor is official. I mean, this is absolute fireworks right now. So much stuff going on. One been turned out of the all the news today. What happened? Oh, what's the news? All those announcements. Like I said, Yoel Romero and Paul Costa, April 27th. Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje scheduled for March 30th. Donald Cerrone versus Conor McGregor is a done deal. Edson Barboza versus Gaethje is going to be a that on paper. And I know I might be getting ahead of myself, but that on paper could be one of the greatest striking matches in the history of sports combat. And those guys' styles going against each other. I mean, these are two guys that come forward and just beat on each other. I mean, amazing striking skills for both of them. They both can take amazing shots. I mean, this is our Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's an amazing one, and it's not even on pay-per-view. And I think Conor versus Cerrone that'll be one of the last pay-per-views, I think, for the UFC. How's it going, Ben Snow? What's up, Bruins 498 in the house? How's it going, Jason Azevedo? I'm doing good. Yeah, I see TJ has been in complete denial. Barboza and Gaethje is going to be absolutely insane. You said perfect fight for Edson. I certainly would not count Justin Gaethje out of that fight, though. Not at all. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad everybody's doing well. Like I said, I wasn't going to stream today. I've actually been feeling a little under the weather. I think I pushed a little hard between work and the live streams this weekend. Thought I was coming down with something. Drank some throat coat. Ate some vegetables and fruits the last couple days. So I'm here. I'm just burning up a little bit. But there was just too much going on to not talk about. Let's start with Cowboy Cerrone versus Conor McGregor at 155. That match was made so quickly. There were no arguments. Cowboy, I mean, it was like, Candyman. He's like, said Conor's name, and boom, he appeared. And then Dana White says, yeah, let's go. I'm totally excited about that fight. What's up, Atheists for the Cause? How you doing? Sniper versus the Brawler, says Jason. I've got the bug as well. Yeah, there's a lot of crap going on My wife and young David brung it home. And then I've just been... yesterday, I ate a clove of garlic because I've heard Joe Rogan say that. You know, to eat like a raw clove of garlic when you feel something coming on. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but be prepared for an absolutely excruciating experience if you put that thing in your mouth and chew it up. I don't know if it did anything for me, and if something works and it's proven to work for me, I'll do it even if it sucks. But if this isn't proven to work, I'm never doing it again. My mouth was on fire. I didn't realize that garlic, I knew it was strong. I didn't realize it could burn so bad. I mean, it was like imagine, you know, a really raw hot pepper and putting the thing in there and chewing it. I guess Conor tweeted out he would like to fight Cerrone right after the fight. Yeah, and then Dana's like, hey, I'm just fine with that one. I see in the UFC Agony series, Cerrone saw Conor's tweet saying you would fight Cerrone. What's the UFC Agony series? Is that on ESPN Plus? Conor saw the ratings Cowboy got ESPN and saw dollar signs for a mega pay-per-view. That did very well. As I feel it should have. It was a great card. You know, obviously they need to work some things out between the ESPN Plus, the ESPN to ESPN Plus thing. That was a bit much. And the ESPN Plus, if you guys, a lot of you have probably been on there. Their format's pretty clunky. They've got some work to do on that site, but I'm just happy with the everything that's coming on. Jay says, I did raw garlic. It doesn't get rid of it once the virus takes hold. It just kills what's in your throat and mouth. Okay. Yeah, because I felt like garbage when I got up this morning. I was off today. I didn't even get up and get in the shower. I don't think I've skipped the shower in probably 3 years that I've been that sick. Cowboys fan base just keeps on growing. Appearing on Rogan's podcast probably helped him out. Oh, it helps anybody out. That podcast has such an incredible reach. It's on UFX's YouTube channel. I'm going to have to write that down. I'm going to have to check it out. Speaking of YouTube channels, too, if you're not subscribed to MMA Fighting, make sure to go to MMA Fighting, their YouTube channel. And there was a really good interview with Anderson Silva on there today. He just showed up in Australia. He said he wanted to swim out to the sharks. And Dana said, why don't you wait until after the fight for that? So he's like, all right. But he's super excited about swimming with sharks for some reason. It's a good matchup. So what's up, Stipe Stout? Shows that people saw in the octagon what you don't hear on the regular show. Say not saw. I'm glad Pacquiao got the W. What's up, JT360 MMA in the house? I've been good, man. How about you? Cowboy beating Hernandez was satisfying. Absolutely. Oh, no. UFC's YouTube channel. Oh, okay. I will check it out. Was the ESPN Plus streaming messing up for anyone else? It didn't freeze for me at all. The connection was great. It was just a little clunky going back and forth between ESPN Plus and the ESPN cable. That wasn't seamless, so they have to work on that. And there's some new stuff. Some stuff coming out on that. They were talking about that on ESPN, actually. There was a UFC, I think it might have been Bisping that was criticizing him about the website, that it was garbage. Just got here. What's up with Conor and Cowboy? It is on, man. BR Longhorn. Cowboy versus Conor is on. Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje is officially scheduled for March 30th. Yoel Romero versus Paul Costa is scheduled for April 27th. Anderson Silva just showed up in Australia. Derek Lewis versus Junior Dos Santos, if you didn't know, that's official now. It's just a lot of stuff. Anderson Silva loves Spider-Man and sharks. He's like a dangerous child. Oh my gosh, yeah, I seen that. He's like, I want to swim with the sharks. He says, I want to swim out to the sharks. And Dana said, wait till after the fight. It's called The Thrill and Agony on UFC's YouTube channel. I'm going to have to see that. I'll have to check that out. Green tea can help quite a bit because of the antioxidants. I've been drinking green tea. I've been drinking Rubio's tea, which is a rare root from Africa, only grows in one spot in Africa. Then I've been drinking this throat coat that's got vitamins echinacea and a bunch of other. I don't mess around when I get sick. I can't afford to be sick. I got too much stuff to do. So all I ate yesterday, like for dinner, I had 2 oranges, a banana, and then a frying pan full of broccoli and jalapenos. And then I've just been on vegetables, fruit, and tea today. Yeah, I can't exactly avoid people, Jason. I wish I could, but my wife brought me home. She's a teacher. And then young David at the school, there's so many people. And then I work in grocery stores. So I'm going in, 3 to 5, 6 stores a day. What's everybody's thoughts on PHS versus Yorma? That is a dynamite fight, Steve Based Out. I almost wonder, there's a lot of things on that. I almost wonder if they're feeding Yoel Romero to Paul Costa. I like what they're doing there because it's like either Yoel Romero gets it and Paul Costa is going to be able to fight for a long time, or you make another superstar. I have Romero winning, JT, but only if he makes... I don't know if he's going to be able to make weight, though. He's not been able to make 185 for quite some time, and I can't believe that they're still allowing him to fight at 185. I think McGregor will beat Cerrone, but then again, I thought Cerrone would lose his last fight. Yeah, that's... I really have to lean towards Conor stylistically for that one, but you can never count Cowboy out of anything. The guy's just so skilled and wily. They also said Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade is next at women's 120. I've heard they've been talking about it, Bruins. Did they announce what card or date it's going to be on, though? Because, man, I thought Andrade was going to fight... Oh, Jessica I'm thinking of Jessica Andrade. I'm sorry. I didn't see that at all, actually. That's interesting. I don't think she's good enough to take out Shevchenko, but that's an interesting matchup. I think Romero can out-wrestle Costa and has the better chin, but I like both. Yeah, it's like, and how much has Father Time caught up with Yoel? I mean, he can't stay young forever. Conor and Cowboy will be great. Conor's like those guys that bring something to the table as well. I got Conor. I mean, whatever I say, you're screwed. Yeah, pretty much. I don't get sick very often, but you can't afford to get sick and you're married to a teacher? Yeah. Tell me about it, man. Like I said, that's why as soon as I feel anything coming on, I mean, I'm just vegetables, fruits, teas. How was Costa's grappling? It's very good. I mean, it's not as good as Yoel Romero. I mean, he's the best at 185, in my opinion. I like Romero on that one. Says Romero's a scary man. Yeah, he is. I heard a rumor that Yoel was supposed to go to light heavy. Guess that ain't going to happen. Yeah, I had heard that he was going to go to light heavyweight and possibly fight Luke Rockhold. So if Cowboy beats McGregor, then Conor will really be in a bad spot. Jason, yes. Here's the thing, though, with Conor. Conor's always got one thing. He's got a ton of money. And he knows, like they've said, that Nate fight is there anytime. So if Cowboy beats McGregor, he goes and fights Nate Diaz in a trilogy. And then I say he probably goes back and fights Donald Cerrone in a rematch that's even bigger. And then maybe retire. I mean, he's got enough money. Dana said at the press conference, yeah, it is official. I think Conor will always be a draw. Yeah, I agree. Donald Cerrone is a bad matchup for Conor McGregor. If Anthony Smith can move up and be successful, why can't Rockhold? Yeah, we'll see. We have seen recently how fighters' chins can be compromised by dropping so much weight, and that could be the case with Rockhold. It seemed like all of a sudden he's not the same fighter he used to be. But you never know. Maybe he goes up in weight and maybe the chin's there for him. TJ's chin didn't look too good dropping down. I think McGregor is becoming less popular, but he still has the Irish fan base. I think he's becoming less popular for sure in a way. But I think with the UFC marketing machine and ESPN, they can build him up and make people excited for a fight like that. And the Nate Diaz fight, like I said, well, this one, the Cowboy Cerrone fight, he's got a dance partner that's also very, very popular. I mean, he's not as popular as Conor, obviously, but he's very popular. And he's well-loved. Conor's one of those guys, like a lot of people love him. A lot of people want to see him get beat. That's a great place to be in. I had a bet with my mom that Bisping beats Rockhold, and if I lost, I had to do the dishes every day for 2 months. And I wasn't too confident in Bisping, but I cheered that night. Nice. That's awesome. Your mom's into MMA, JT. She was confident in Luke. All the women like Luke. He's a good-looking guy. Conor's quote from his tweet: "For a fight like that, Donald, I'll fight you. Congratulations." I seen that. Conor sounded humble. Yeah, congratulations, though. I don't know. TJ is going to lose that belt soon. It's tough going down. I really doubted him going down to 125. Jason has been very vocal the entire time about TJ Dillashaw going down to 125, that he would be too small. And I think you're right, Jason. Khabib humbled Conor a little. Yeah, I think so too. This is Hero Cerrone versus Villain McGregor fight. And there's a lot of people that love both. Beowulf, what's up? Thank you for the $5 donation. You were too generous, my friend. Conor versus Cerrone or Conor versus Paulie? Thoughts? Definitely Conor versus Cerrone. I know Paul Malignaggi really wants that fight. He's been really rallying for it. I think those guys are somewhat kind of friends behind the scenes, but he really wants to get in there and beat Conor up and to come back. He knows to go in there and fight against an MMA guy in an all boxing match. I know Conor stood in there and did decent against Mayweather, but Paulie with the full camp, he's still not that old. He knows he can go in there and beat up Conor and walk out of there with the biggest paycheck of his career. I mean, why would he not be going after Conor? I don't know that Dana lets Conor box anytime soon. I think he lost a lot of his hold on the UFC when that happened, because now all of a sudden you have Khabib wanting to fight Mayweather. You have other people wanting to do boxing. Diaz brothers have talked about it for years. Nate has. Honestly, I kind of think maybe Nate should just go into boxing. Why not? Especially if he can do both. That would be great. Just get him a fight. I saw a week before the fight, TJ was depleted. There's something interesting I was thinking about, Jason. Some of these fighters have had huge ill effects by starting their weight cuts too early. I wonder if there's something in the body that can survive if you just cut all the weight at once, and somehow it's possibly better to cut all the weight at once, because what we seen in Max Holloway when he was completely out of it, this is when he waterloaded and was trying to start dropping weight much before he usually starts dropping weight. And then TJ in this one, not only was he depleted for like a day or two, he was depleted, like you said, for a long time. he was depleted for a week before. I think the same kind of thing with Darren Till. He made weight this last time, but I think he started that weight cut a little early in his fight against Tyron Woodley, and he looked horrible. So if you're gonna drop it, I'm obviously not a scientist. I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me. This is just, kind of bouncing ideas around my head. But maybe it's healthier to drop it quickly and put it right back on. I don't know. I don't think it's ever healthy to drop a bunch of weight. But was the Dillashaw fight bad luck, or was it destined to go down that way? I don't know, Atheist. When you have a fight that's that quick, that's why I wanted to see Conor versus Jose Aldo played back, and we've never gotten that. Whenever there's a fight that goes down that quickly, I think there's still a lot of questions. Now, he landed combinations in succession against Dillashaw. So in that 28 seconds, I think he showed a lot. Because after landing shots where Dillashaw wasn't so hurt, he hurt him afterwards, and then continued to land shots. He just looked sharper. But it was a really, short sample, 28 seconds. What about the big nose Glover Teixeira called out Shogun Rua? I missed that one, Bruins. That's a good fight. I thought did they fight before, or did they cancel that fight? That fight sounds familiar. Feels like they've fought before. They've at least been scheduled to fight before. How do you see Cerrone versus these guys? Poirier, Barboza, Ferguson, Gaethje. I see him competing against anybody. Everybody you just named, though, Poirier and Ferguson, I don't think are good matchups for him. I think Conor's actually a better matchup for him than those guys. Barboza, he could take him down. He could definitely take him down and have a shot. So I think Barboza would probably be his best shot for a win out of those. But it's still a really tough fight, getting caught coming in. And then Gaethje, he's not going to be able to take down as much. We might actually see Justin Gaethje's wrestling in that. So I actually think the Conor matchup's better than most of those. I wonder what's next for Ally Quinta. Yeah, I seen he called out Conor. He says, oh, the number 4 guy is challenging you, and you go out and take the 14 guy, tough guy. And he's got to do what he's got to do. I know Ally Quinta was scheduled against Justin Gaethje. He's not known in the past for running from anybody, but I don't think he wants that fight. I think there's too much risk for too little reward. And then who he fights could end up being... It all depends on if Khabib is cleared in time to fight Tony before Ramadan. If he can't fight Tony before Ramadan, Tony might want to get off a fight in between. I don't think he's going to want to be inactive for that long, even though he's the rightful number 1 contender in the next shot. So I could see while Khabib's on Ramadan, him going out there and fighting Ally Quinta in the meantime. Khabib versus Tony and Ally Quinta versus Poirier. Co-main if I was in charge. That's a good one. I would like to see Poirier versus Ally Quinta as well. GSP fights at 155. He'll have plenty of time to let his body adjust. What TJ did isn't smart for peak performance. It was a business move. TJ's energy stores were low if he cut for 12 weeks. Like he said. Yeah, that's a really long cut. And then you're not training like you generally are. If you're training depleted the entire time and your whole camp is kind of about keeping a weight, I don't know if that's the way to do it, but I just don't like to see fighters cutting that much weight, period. I still believe TJ is the better fighter between him and Cejudo. I'm not a Cejudo hater or a TJ super fan. Yeah, I hear you, man. By the way, JT, you were second place. I was just announcing in the points. First in the points. DG won the most amount of weeks, but for the trivia. So I got a t-shirt for me. Email me at fightswithfriends at gmail.com. I know you go to kickboxing practice about 20 miles or so from me. I could just drop it off. So that might be an easy thing to do if you want. But you want a t-shirt. Henry gets better every time he fights. That's the thing about him is, yeah, he's just... How much is he going to keep improving? How long is he going to keep improving by such large amounts? I mean, the guy is... He's so good already, and then he looks so much better every time he goes out there. I didn't give him much of a shot against TJ because I thought it was going to be just like the Joseph Benavidez fight. Joseph Benavidez beat him. He beat him in striking. He was able to stop most of his takedowns. And he beat him with boxing and, with leg kicks and body kicks. And those are all strengths for TJ. So I thought, man, he's in trouble. But obviously it didn't go down that way. Henry is going to beat TJ and become a double champ. Henry is looking like a beast. Yeah, he looked stacked. I've got a $10 bet with a training partner at the gym that Aldo beats Macanio. I hate losing money, so let's go Aldo. That's going to be a crazy fight. What about Cowboy versus Raging Al? Well, he's got to get past Conor first. Well, I guess he doesn't have to. But Cowboy's going to have to wait for that fight. I want to see Jessica Ai versus Jura Eubanks. Well, it sounds like Jessica Ai's got a title shot coming up. TJ did say he was the same weight in the cage at 125 as he was at 135. He was 140. Yeah, I seen that. That's interesting. I wonder what Cejudo was. Probably about the same. Gregor Gillespie versus Kevin Lee should happen. McGregor has insane wrestling. I was so impressed with Gregor Gillespie. And yeah, that guy, I mean, he's a caveman. That guy's insane. I guess he just goes off in the wilderness and trains and then shows up for a fight. And yeah, I can't wait to see him fight again. Kevin Lee would be a good one against him. What's up, PR? Hope you're feeling better. TJ said he was at 140, I think. Sending the email now. Thanks, Mike. All right, thank you. Why can't the UFC test the fighters' weight throughout camp to prevent major weight cutting? I think they should, Atheist the Cause, and that's why I was so happy with the California State Athletic Commission, because they were starting to implement things like this. They were starting to do hydration tests. They said that a fighter can't cut more than 8% after a certain time. New York State Athletic Commission, we can see they're going to be very careful. They already told several fighters that they were that it was too much weight to cut and didn't allow them to fight. But yeah, I wish the UFC would do something before somebody gets seriously injured. Mike would like this channel because you're genuine, not because you give us stuff. Well, thank you, PR. I like being on here. No, it was just a fun thing with the trivia thing. I like giving stuff out, but I'm not rich either. Thank you. It was a little easy. Early talk is annoying. Either it was an early stoppage or it wasn't. Oh, yeah, exactly. I don't have an issue with the stoppage. Do you think Benavidez can still beat Cejudo? That's really hard to say. It's been 2 years since they fought before. I mean, Joseph Benavidez beat him fairly convincingly the first time. I thought he won 2 out of 3 rounds, and you could have given him all 3 rounds. The 2 rounds that he won were very convincingly. So I don't know. I think Benavidez can beat him. Yes. Can he beat him? Yes. Would he? It would be a good fight, I think. I think it would be a better fight this time around. Hey, everybody, know that the Bella twins wants a piece of Henry's balls. Oh, I heard Henry call out Nikki Bella. Oh, I don't know. I'm getting old, apparently, JT, because that name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure who Nikki Bella is. Someone is going to die from weight cuts. Then they will finally do something about it. That's what happened in ONE FC. Everybody's so complimentary towards ONE FC, myself as well. But the way that all started, for people that don't know, there was a fighter, a 19-year-old fighter, that died from weight cutting. What's up, Denise? How have you been? Good to see you. Days Hip Hop, how you going? Would love to see Cowboy whoop Conor. I think that's a great matchup. Who do you think is a dark horse people aren't talking about, like Whittaker before the Jacare fight? Dark horse right now. I mean, people are jumping on bandwagons so quick after a fight or so. Could be that Johnny Walker guy at light heavyweight. He definitely could be very good. I mean, I like him. I can't wait to see him fight again. Maybe that's my pick right now. I don't think Whittaker gets the respect he deserves. That guy is a freaking beast. Yeah, a lot of people mentioned that the new top pound for pound, top 10 came out for the UFC. Cejudo moved from number 11 up 6 spots to number 5. DJ moved from, I believe it was 4 down to number 9. And Robert Whittaker wasn't on there. So, yeah, he's not getting the respect he deserves. Oh, by the way, I'm out of the hospital. That's good to hear. Thank you. Thanks for the support. I appreciate you being on here. I'm glad you're doing better. There should be no media for the losing fighter. Fighters need to earn that press conference, and losing fighters are too emotional. That's an interesting take, Atheist. I know Joe has said that he'd never interview a fighter again after they were knocked out, after the Daniel Cormier thing. That's very interesting. No media at all, even the post-fight press conference. So, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting suggestion. I'm not sure about that one. I guess Ramirez said he wants to work as a lineman. A person that fixes electrical systems when the power goes out. Smart move. Yeah, I heard he was talking about he only wants maybe a couple more fights, or he might be done. He's close to wanting to be done. Ally Quinta definitely deserves a big fight. Everyone knows pound for pound UFC list is BS. Yeah, it's. I mean, come on. You got Cormier at number 1, which sure he won both championships, and then John Jones at number 2. And, yeah, I don't care for it. I don't like the way it looks right now. I'll be glad to see Dominic Cruz return. I hope he is still as good. Same with Garbrandt. I would have Henry Cejudo right now on there as the number 1 pound for pound, because he beat Demetrius Johnson. He beat TJ Dillashaw now. And you're talking about pound for pound was made in boxing. Basically for the little guys. I mean, it literally means pound for pound. So if you're 125, 145 pounds, you know, that's less pounds, pound for pound. It seems pretty obvious to me. There never used to be any heavyweights, or very rarely heavyweights, on that list in boxing back in the day. Cruz broke both arms trying to put on a winter jacket. Oh, that guy is just... Oh, that would not even surprise me. Yeah, that guy's made of brittle, man. How do you think Garbrandt competes against Cejudo, Lineker, Moraes? I don't know. I wonder if Garbrandt would get starched again. I mean, he's been starched twice by TJ. I think his chin is somewhat questionable. But he is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he is a smaller guy, and if I remember correctly, I think he's fought at 125 before. So that could be interesting. I'm not sure that. What's the guy's name that broke BJ Penn's ankle? Ryan Hall. That guy is really underrated. Oh, yeah, that guy definitely could be a dark horse. What a ninja move. That was absolutely crazy. Yes, Brian Bruins 498 got it there. Ryan Hall. That's what I was just thinking, Jason. I need to do a pound for pound list and put one up. I don't know, man. People jump to the GOAT conclusion too quickly. It's just hard to say because MMA math never works. I'm usually hesitant about pound for pound, especially with guys that haven't been around for so long. You can see I made that pound for pound video about Fedor, though. I do believe that Fedor, out of just about anybody, has a good argument for pound at heavyweight, just because he beat all of those heavyweights, all those former UFC heavyweight champions, and the heavyweight championship in the UFC. Nobody's ever defended it more than 3 times, so I think he's got a pretty good argument there. Cody is still dangerous, even though I'm not a fan. He sure is. What do you think of Woodley moving up a weight class? I think he's kind of doing it to make room for Askren. He's a super talented guy. I think he could probably do whatever he wants to. I think he might be able to beat Robert Whittaker, to be honest. Tyrone Woodley is, in my opinion, he could go down as one of the best fighters, pound for pound, ever. Now, he's still got some things to do. Like I said, not moving too fast, but moving up, he won't have to cut that weight. I would have rather have seen them make the 175-pound class and then have Askren go to 165. Who's all watching Bellator this weekend? You know I am. Live stream will be on for Bellator. Fedor Emelianenko versus Ryan Bader for the heavyweight championship, and the winner of the Bellator Grand Prix. Also, you got that WWE guy Jack Swagger, making his debut. And I don't know how good the guy's going to be. He's going against somebody that's 0-1, but he is ripped. I mean, he's a big, muscular dude. I don't know what his skill set is like. But I think it's like the second to co-main event, or possibly even co-main event. Should watch Michael Bisping on the Tiger Belly podcast, or Theo Vaughn on JRE. I love Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn is absolutely crazy. And I watch Michael Bisping quite a bit. I've watched a couple of his podcasts now. Now that the GOATs, in my opinion, Tyrone, even when people were hating on him, I was supporting that dude. May not like the man, but you can't deny he's got the answer for every type of fight style. I've always liked Tyrone Woodley, even when a lot of people didn't. I like him as a fighter. I don't have any issues with him really as a person. I think that there's a lot of unwarranted hate pushed his way, to be honest. But you gotta have that fight with Tyrone Woodley. He cannot leave Colby Covington. He can't leave 170 pounds without fighting Colby Covington. That would be absurd. Should all join together and do fantasy MMA on MMAplayground.com. I've already have an account on there. There's a fight camp we could all join. I'm going to have to check it out. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to making more show notes, because I've been looking for a good place actually to do a fantasy MMA thing, if everybody's interested. I think it would be a lot of fun. Then we can go through the results. I was going to do DraftKings. I had wanted to be doing DraftKings, and they had even offered me a sponsorship till they found out I was in Seattle, and there's no you can't compete in Washington State, so it kind of sucks. I believe Whittaker would beat Tyrone, because Tyrone is like a smaller Tyrone, and Kelvin also. You think Kelvin would beat Tyrone? I really don't think so, but I will say I've always underestimated Kelvin Gastelum for some reason. It's anytime he's fighting somebody tough, I always pick the other guy, and he always proves me wrong. So I'm not sure why Kelvin just doesn't stick out to me that much, but he's continued to prove me wrong. So maybe Amanda Nunes has to have a great argument for best pound-for-pound fighter if you include women. Not sure how women mesh with the men. I think she should definitely be on there, yeah. And like you said, pound for pound, 135, 145, like I said earlier. Tyrone is the smaller Romero, I think. That's an interesting comparison. I think Tyrone is maybe even a little better striker and Romero is a better wrestler. But yeah, I can definitely see a lot of similarities. I got Ryan Bader versus Fedor PR. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight going either way, but that's going to be a great fight. What's up, Drew Coming, guys? What I missed? I just got in here. We were just talking about all the big fights that were announced. I'll just go through a few real quick. Nathan Spratt says, go to sleep. Donald Cerrone versus Conor McGregor has been agreed to. That's huge. Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje has a date, March 30th. Yoel Romero versus Paul Costa is now scheduled for April 27th. Derek Lewis versus JDS is official. And Anderson Silva just showed up in Australia for the Israel Adesanya fight and had a great interview on MMA fighting. I think that's pretty much what we've hit so far. Who do you think the best fighter is pound for pound in MMA right now? I think it's Henry Cejudo. Because, like I said, I consider pound for pound like the smaller guys. Nancy's, you're tired. Cowboy could beat Conor. I'll be fine. Thank you for the concern, though. Toblerone Woodley versus Kamaru Usman should be good. Kamaru Usman, he has a problem. I love Tyrone Woodley. Women need their own pound for pound list. It's getting big enough where they're going to start being able to do it. I just think there haven't been enough women until recently to make a pound for pound list. But I think you could do it now. Jason, you only got 30% of Usman's name right. Having Amanda Nunes on the list makes it look like she can beat some men. Yeah, that's an interesting argument. I didn't really think about it that way. I think, they're trying to compare her against her own opposition. And that is, anybody who ever says that is absolutely insane. There's a lot of people that cannot make it into the UFC that will never go into the UFC that would absolutely destroy every woman to ever fight in MMA. It's just not a valid comparison. It's Tyrone, Mike, not Tyrone. Oh, Tyron. I keep saying Tyrone. You're right. I always want to call him Tyrone for some reason. Tyron Woodley. I think somebody corrected me before. John Jones will be fighting soon. Yeah, he's fighting Anthony Smith. I'm not sure if you guys think he's got a shot there, but that should be good. Yeah, against a drug habit. I love it. Thanks for coming in, Drew Cummins. I appreciate it. Mighty Mouse says, Sleep Pain. No one caught Ryan's nickname. Yep, Ryan the Masturbator. I got you. That's great. JDS, I think will beat Derek. Cowboy will beat Cerrone. And Israel beats Silva. I think that's a horrible matchup for Derek Lewis. I think he's going to take an absolute beating. I kind of hope he falls over and he's not too tough for his own good. Because I don't want to see him get brain damage. I remember watching Junior Dos Santos. I don't know if you guys remember Junior Dos Santos versus Mark Hunt. And Junior Dos Santos was outstriking Mark Hunt and hitting him with ridiculous power shots. And Mark Hunt just took so much punishment in that fight. And nobody should ever take that kind of punishment from a high-level striking heavyweight. Nunes could definitely... Okay, she could beat CM Punk probably, but that's not a legitimate UFC fighter. Where is Derek Lewis's place in all this? I guess he's facing Junior Dos Santos. He was ranked number 2 going into the Cormier fight after knocking out, is it Volkov? There's a couple of the Russians that I always say the wrong name on. I think it was Alexander Volkov he had just knocked out. Do you think Rose Namajunas and Amanda Nunes could ever fight at 125? No. I think Amanda's too big to make 125. And with that being said, honestly, I think Jessica Andrade is going to absolutely destroy Rose Namajunas. And I like Rose. But if Andrade looked anything like she did in her last fight against Carolina Kolakowicz, that could be a murder. Not literally. Nunez would lose to CM Punk because CM Punk is so much bigger. That's true, Jason. He is a lot bigger. What's up, Kurt? Hello. Thanks for coming in. Nah, Amanda would be drained. Lewis beat Alexander Volkov. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but there was there was a couple fighters with close names that I kept mixing up, so I wanted to make sure it was 100%. So my breakdown, Donald Cerrone versus Conor. I start that out. Conor, the harder, sharper striker. Donald Cerrone, the better cardio. Donald Cerrone, the better wrestler, the better ground game. Donald Cerrone has a lot of advantages, and I think more advantages. Conor comes into this just turning 30 years old. Donald Cerrone's 35. I think he's going to be much faster. I'm not sure if this was at 145, Conor has much more power. I'm not sure Conor has the same power, honestly, at 155 that he did at 145. I mean, and he did take out Eddie Alvarez. I know that. But, like, the way he waxed Jose Aldo at 145, I really think 145 was the sweet spot for Conor. And a lot of these guys that have the ability to take people down, like Donald Cerrone, that are bigger, I think they're going to give him some problems. That being said, Conor's very sharp, and I would lean towards him because I think he has a very good shot at stopping Cerrone early. So my gut kind of says Conor stops him in the first round. But if the further Cerrone gets into the fight, the better chance he has of fighting. And I think Conor has proven for a lot of reasons he doesn't have the greatest MMA cardio. That and the pace that he sets, it's very few people can fight at the pace that he sets, throwing all your power with every shot. It's just not always realistic to do that for 3 or even 5 rounds. Could you imagine pandemonium the fans would go through if Smith beats Jones? Oh, that would be insane. That would be the MMA version probably of Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson. Out of all the upsets in the world of MMA, that would be the biggest in MMA history. I agree, PR. Henry says he likes the new belt more than the old one, but he said UFC is cheaping out, not giving another belt for a win. What's up, Robert Christian? Thanks for coming in. How you doing, man? Oh, okay. We'll be gone a little bit. I love garlic. If I were an MMA fighter, I would eat garlic and breathe deeply in my opponent's face. Oh, that's hilarious. I don't think there's any rule against that. There was somebody, I can't remember what fighter, maybe there's been several, but there was one particularly that says that he likes to go in there smelling really bad and not shower for a while and not use deodorant and lay on his opponents. And he was 100% serious. I wish I could remember who it was. If women physically aren't as strong as men, should women fight be 4 minutes per round? In boxing, they're 2 minutes a round. So I would like to see 4 minutes or 3 minutes. I would like to see an entire division, atheist, of either 3 or 4 minutes rounds, because as guys get older, it's not realistic for them to have the same amount of cardio going 5 rounds. So I wouldn't mind seeing 4-minute rounds for a lot of people. Wilder versus Fury 2 is on the way. Oh, I'm super excited about that one, man. PR says that makes no sense. Because it's a cardio thing, but there's also different advantages. I don't know if women are necessarily, less equipped to go the 5 minutes. Just obviously they aren't as strong. I'm not going to argue scientists. We know science. We know testosterone exists. So I'm just thinking, I hate those fighters where fighters are tired for half the round. Oh, I hear you. They must earn their pay like everyone else. Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje. Prediction for that one. I might flip-flop on this one several times, to be honest. This is such an incredible fight. And one of the reasons that I believe it's very hard to call is Justin Gaethje going to finally use his wrestling at all in this fight? Obviously, he's going to strike with Barboza. Obviously, he's going to get hit. And obviously, he's going to land some shots. This fight is just, like I said, this is one of the best fights on paper in my mind that I think I've ever seen. This is amazing. I mean, this could be Thomas Hearns versus Marvin Hagler. That 3 rounds of absolute violence. Or like a Gotti Ward with more power. You could not ask for a more exciting fight on paper. Like I said, then Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje. I just hope it lives up to the hype. I think if Gaethje takes Barboza down, if he does use his wrestling and is strategic, starts out with some of his leg kicks and strategic takes Barboza down, we know he can take a hell of a shot. I think then he could have a chance. If he continues to stand up the entire time, I think that's very bad for Gaethje. Barboza is way too accurate and way too sharp for Gaethje to just stand there right in front of him. If that happens, I got Barboza. I don't generally refuse to pick a winner, but that one's just, like I said, it depends on how each fighter fights. I feel you, that's their fault, I think the UFC needs to think about it from the fans' perspective. Could be. Honestly, women have more stamina than men. They can have babies, for God's sakes. There's a lot of women that win marathons and these ultra marathons and different things. So I have not heard any research on women having less cardio than men. So I honestly don't know if that's a legitimate argument. But I really don't know enough to argue it. John Maldazzi versus Gilbert Barnes at UFC on ESPN +2. Any thoughts? That should be a great fight. I got Gilbert Burns in that one. I think he wins that one fairly easily. I want to go through the rest of the fights that I announced. Though we got Anderson Silva versus Israel Adesanya coming up. Anderson Silva, of course, promised a title shot if he can beat Adesanya. You guys need to watch that interview on MMA Fighting. Just Google MMA Fighting. I won't even bother putting in the link, but if you type in MMA Fighting, it's going to come right up. It was about 18 minutes. It was really interesting. Anderson, he's excited to be in Australia. They talked to him about if they think the UFC's feeding him to a younger lion. He talks about fighting his clone. And he talks about a lot of cool stuff. It was a great, entertaining video or interview. That being said, I never count Anderson Silva out, but I don't think we've seen him fight anybody this fast and this sharp in a very, very long time. And in his 40s, I think that Adesanya's speed and accuracy is going to be too much for Anderson. I think he's going to go in there and try to compete with him. And and stand toe-to-toe with him. And I think that's going to make it even worse for him. I got Adesanya in this one. Derek Lewis versus Junior Dos Santos. Rest in peace, Derek Lewis. Like I said, I believe that's a horrible matchup for Lewis. I mean, Junior Dos Santos is a much better striker, much more complete striker. Lewis, he's got power, he's got a chin, but that's about it. I also, as much as I'm a big Derek Lewis fan, I think he's slightly overrated because his cardio sucks so bad. They must work on cardio during camp. However, I see your point. Honestly, I think all rounds should go down to 4 minutes. Those high-altitude fights are terrible. There's definitely been an argument for that. There's been people talking about that, atheists. They've been... I've even heard the case for going to 5 3-minute rounds. I wouldn't be against it at all. I think it causes more excitement. I think it gives stand-up fighters more of an equal chance. Because I've talked about this. The fact that you cannot kick or knee a downed opponent, I understand the safety of that. I also believe that it gives grapplers and wrestlers a distinct advantage that I think a lot of people underestimate. And I think going to 5 3-minute rounds, maybe just do it for everything, even championship fights. Maybe you do a little more for championship fights. I think 5 3-minute rounds would be incredible, though. Everybody wouldn't have to pace themselves as much. I think you would see more explosiveness. I really, really like the idea of shorter rounds. And then for people coming up that are maybe in development contracts, maybe even 3 3-minute rounds. And then as you're watching, 13, 14 fights, some of these fights that, that drag on and we're all just can't wait for it to be over, maybe it's only 9 minutes instead of 15. Justin is going to take Barboza's kick on the face and destroy Edson. I cannot wait for that fight, PR. March 30th, I'm counting down the days. That matchup is so freaking incredible. It's not even funny. I think all the rounds should go down to 4 minutes. Oh, I've seen that before. Ray Longo said Greg Hardy was looking for a way out. That is why you need that guy. I've heard a lot of people say that. I've watched that several times now. I'm watching Greg Hardy. He's thinking about the knee when both knees are down. Then he waits for his opponent to bring one knee up and he throws the knee. So I'm not sure if he thought that the guy was just getting up at that time. He is a piece of garbage person. So I'm not saying it's beyond him. The guy creeps me out. I think he gives me a serial killer vibe. He is fun to watch fight, but he's not a good person. So I'm not saying he wouldn't do it on purpose. I'm not sure he did. I saw that Jason, that guy has a history of beating women. I don't like that. Yeah, for those people, a lot of people said that, oh, that wasn't proven and all these things, and the witness didn't show up because she was scared. So I decided to look into that, and there are some ugly pictures out there of what Greg Hardy did to that woman. And for me, when you beat up a woman, especially when you're a super athlete, there's no coming back from that. I'm never going to be a fan of you, ever. Jason Avija, I think that's a bit of a conspiracy theory, to be honest. Hardy was getting tired, but still had a great chance to win. Yep, Lewis is screwed. Everyone but Stipe has a fight. What's up with that? Yeah, I really wish they would make Stipe versus Cormier, but I don't know if they're going to give Stipe a title shot before Cormier retires. I know that Dana does not want to see Stipe beat Daniel Cormier before he retires. And I think he's a little bitter about Stipe not letting him put the belt around him. Greg Hardy has white privilege. Heard a lot of people on the internet that Derek Lewis should fight. Oh, that would be insane. That's just punishment. Somebody in the chat was saying that too. I would love to see that. Just to see the woman beater get beat up. We don't see Nate Diaz fight enough. Shame, that is my dude. Yeah, they need to pay him. He brings in the fans. They need to pay him. Nick and Nate. I don't know exactly what contracts they're turning down, but those guys put butts in seats. As long as it's been since they've fought, they're in the top 5 draws in all of MMA, in my opinion. What's up, Panhead Bob? Good evening. If I remember correctly, I think it's Matt Lindland who doesn't shower before a fight. I know a fighter from Team Quest in Portland that says he smells terrible. I think you're right. That sounds familiar. I know it was something. I know I heard something about Portland. Thought Anderson was going to beat Bisping easy after rewatching that fight and then seeing some of Israel's fights. I think he's going to hurt Silva. Yeah, I don't think it's a good matchup for him, Drew Cummins. I think so too. I have Adesanya in that one, unfortunately. Not that I don't like Adesanya. I just don't think it's a good matchup for Anderson. Just because Stipe snatched the belt from Dana. Yeah, 7 3-minute rounds for championship fights, maybe. Yeah, that would be interesting. I really like the idea of 3-minute fights. Especially, I would like to see it with the older fighters. Speaking of Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson says London smells like a skunk when they fought. Nice. Rampage Jackson, Vanderlei Silva. Some of these guys that you can tell it's really hard for them to make it through 5 minutes anymore. Why not have a 3-minute league? Even if it starts out just for seniors. There's a reason boxing matches are 3 minutes. I think it's great for explosiveness. And like I said, I think it kind of nullifies for strikers that advantage that grapplers have, not having to worry about kicks and knees to a down opponent. Yeah, that's true too, Atheist for the Cause. 40-plus division. That would be interesting. I don't know if you can make an entire division out of it, because I think it might be hard to sell to the fans. I'm not sure what interest there is in it, but you have a lot of the UFC's bigger draws getting older. So, I mean, it's quite possible. I think you have to get a lot of these guys that are 40s in one organization, though. You have some of them still in the UFC, and then Bellator's poached a bunch of the older guys as they've gotten older. Couture won a title at 45, though. Yes, he did. What's everybody think about Justin Willis versus Curtis Blades? I think that's a great matchup. I think Curtis Blades will be able to take him down and smash him. But Willis is very athletic. I think he's got a good shot, but I have Blades in that one. And then Kane versus Ngannou. That's coming up soon. That's the next. Well, not the next UFC match. There's one more before, but then Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou. That fight's exciting. And honestly, the more I think about that, and the more Cain has been out, I'm really leaning towards Francis Ngannou knocks Cain Velasquez out. Especially the knockout he had in the last one. Cain Velasquez with that big head. I think he's going to be an easy target. I don't think he's getting all that old. I think he's under 35. He's 36 actually then. Okay. Yeah, Kane is a cardio machine. That guy's absolutely nuts. Heavyweight division was horrible when Couture won at 45. Well, yeah, he did beat Tim Sylvia, and Tim Sylvia wasn't even in his prime then. Kane is 50 in fighting years. Yeah, I don't know what those guys do in training. I want to say he's at ATT. But yeah, he's constantly injured. Yeah, he's been through a ton of injuries. I mean, he's not as frail as Dominic Cruz, but who is? So let's look at what's coming up, though. I'm not gonna go through the next Bellator card really, because I think the only fight that really is any good now is the main event. Everything else on there is kind of throwaway. And I think a lot of people would say, thought that Bellator was going to start competing with the UFC, and I see the UFC just making that gap much, much bigger this year, especially with the ESPN signing. Have to have 20 years to the actual age. I hear you. Yeah, it is crazy, but I'm gonna bring up. Bring up these fights right here. Rafael Ansuncal versus Marlon Ross. This is the week right after the Bellator card this Saturday, and it's also Super Bowl Saturday. Historically, this has been a pretty big week for the UFC. This is not the strongest card, but this definitely has some stand-ups. For a free fight, I'm certainly not complaining. Everybody's fights on Vitaly Minakov versus Czech Congo 2. I think Czech Congo looked amazing in his last fight. I think he gets it. Hopkins won gold at 50. Any of you fights of friends ever come? I've never been to Asia. Only other country I've ever been to is Canada. And I plan on fixing that next year when I finally have a little more time and money, hopefully, to travel. But Rafael Ansuncal versus Marlon Moraes. I think this is a really tough matchup for Rafael Ansuncal. He is on a win streak right here, though. Since he lost to TJ, he went the distance with him. He's won 4 in a row. He's already got a split decision win over Marlon Moraes, so this is a rematch. He had several really close decisions there. The one against Aljamain Sterling. I think that win was maybe a little bit of a fluke. It's been about a year and a half. I think Marlon's gotten better since then. So I kind of lean towards Marlon. But that should be a very good fight. I was a little disappointed that it's the main event. Since then, he's won. Yeah, he's beaten John Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, and Jimmy Rivera. Of course, you see a lot of the same fighters on each fighter's records. 135, as good as I believe TJ Dillashaw is and was. With Dominic Cruz being out and injured, outside of Dillashaw, 135 is not that deep. Pride was awesome. Yes, it was. Pride's best. Igor Vunchenchin was for sure. I like Pride except for the knees to the grounded opponent. Oh, that's my favorite part, Jason. No. It is very brutal, and I do worry. I worry about fighters' safety on that one, to be honest. In all seriousness. But I was just talking about one of my dark horses, and so we're a week and a half out. Johnny Walker takes on Justin Ledette. We got the return of Thiago Pitbull Alves against Alves versus Max Griffin from the Dana White Contender Series. There's several fights that stand out to me in this one. Charles Oliveira comes back against David Tumor. Maybe one of the last times we see Damian Maia. And I think it's very important that we really appreciate Damian Maia as long as he's around. Because I think he may be the last guy that can compete with just basically one skill set. Boss Rutan, Sakuraba, Don Fry, Shamrock, and many killers and oh, for sure. I like the 10-minute round in round 1 in Pride. Yeah, long fights. For the most part, face stomping on the ground was allowed. It's still allowed in 1FC. And what's the other? Ryzen. The face stomping, yeah, I cringe a little bit with that. It's like, okay, I want to be entertained just as long as nobody gets hurt, but you really increase the chances of somebody getting extremely bad injury. I'm not sure. I have not heard that name, Emil Meek, in quite a while. If UFC had Pride rules, I bet many of the current champs wouldn't be there. Changes everything. I don't think, Jason, that we would see almost every champion being a wrestler. And that's, like I said, that's my one case for making more rounds in fewer minutes, because it gives the stand-up fighters more time for the fight to start standing. If a wrestler takes a striker down, I mean, he holds them there for 4 minutes. At least you know you're going to get 5 times, even if it's just the one at the beginning of every round. I like Pancrase too. I remember they did 1 round of boxing, then MMA, crazy mixing sometimes. Want to see Brando Vera back in the UFC. He's one of my favorite. He's fighting over in 1FC. He's doing very well, actually. But yeah, Damian Maia, like I said, let's check out this Lyman Good guy. He's coming off a first-round knockout of Ben Saunders, where he was favored significantly. Had a second-round knockout over a very good Andrew Craig, and then lost a split decision in a fight of the night. It was a great fight against Zaleski dos Santos. I think he poses a lot of problems for Damian Maia as Maia gets older. Maia's slowed down a lot. That's not to say I would favor him. That's very close. That one's very close. I think Maia, 3 5-minute rounds. I'd say he still gets. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna lean towards Lyman Good, actually. I think in a 3 5-minute round fight, I think if his submission defense is just good enough, I'm actually going to go with Lyman Good. So did Joanna. Joanna got a boob job too. Yes, she did. I've seen pictures of her. They look very good. I approve. But this is what I think should be the main event. This is the fight on this card that I'm looking forward to the most. And I'm going to wrap up with this because I do actually have to work at 5 in the morning. But I got a little nap today. So, Jose Aldo versus Renato Moicano. This is a dynamite fight. Renato Moicano coming off a knockout win, submission, first round submission win over Cub Swanson. He's got wins over Jeremy Stevens, Kelvin Couture. Very exciting fighter to watch. Jose Aldo, of course, we don't even look at one of the best ever Even Max Holloway says he's the best 145-pound fighter ever. I think Jose Aldo gets another win here. I think he probably pounds it out unanimous decision, if not a knockout, but I'm going to take him by unanimous decision. And I would really like to see Jose Aldo get some kind of super fight in his next fight. But he is fighting in Brazil. He said he was going to retire this year. He said he wants to fight 3 times this year, all in Brazil. And I'm just fine with all that. I have proved to what happens if Joanna gets punched in the boob. Will it burst? I don't know. I've thought about that with breast implants, and I have no idea. What's up, comedic genius in the house? I think she got the double-bagged boobs. Good for fights. Get a little bit of extra padding in there. They don't look ridiculously big. I seen her. She's always just been. I've always thought she was somewhat of an attractive woman, except for she had a flat chest. And now, in my mind, she kind of just looks normal. They're not huge, but I don't know what the science is behind all that. What's up with FWF Sports? It sounds like everybody wants to go towards sports with friends. Does that sound good to everybody? It's easy for everybody to remember, all the old people, and I think it's it doesn't roll off the tongue quite like Fights with Friends. So that was kind of my only hang up. But it looks like most people are voting for Sports with Friends for a second channel. So I want to do that. Of course, don't forget, right after this card, the next day I'm going to be doing the Super Bowl. We'll be doing the Super Bowl. We'll actually have some Super Bowl trivia before the Super Bowl. And that should be a lot of fun. Go Rams. Rams versus the New England Patriots, of course. And I'm going to be doing a lot more things. I'm starting to get caught up. I almost did an NBA game the other day when the Lakers were playing the Golden State Warriors. I realized I just felt like I didn't know enough about the players since I boycotted the NBA for 11 years now, since the Sonics left. So I got to get caught up on that. I love college basketball. It's going to be fun. I want doing a March Madness bracket because I love that time of year. And yeah, let me know what you guys. Comedic Genius's thumbs down. Oh, you want it? Oh, you want it to literally be Fights with Friends Sports? Yeah, I don't know. I think that sounds kind of confusing, though, to be honest, for people that don't know Fights with Friends Sports. I'll give it a little more thought. Ain't that dude huge for 145? Oh, yeah, he is. Renato Macano, he's a pretty big dude. And Jose Aldo fought a lot of his career at 135. So, yeah, or no, he fought at 145. I don't know why I'm thinking that. But I think it's a good fight. I think Aldo can take him out, though. Paige has them, too. Yeah, I heard that. When women have low body fat like MMA fighters, they lose their boobs. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Mike Perry versus Emil Meek should happen. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't heard anything about Emil Meek for a long time. I think even Joanna's boobs will be mean. The boogie boobs are coming. Oh, jeez. Comedic says, Fights with Friends Sports, Mikey. I saw we do the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. That would be fun. I should root for Giannis. I cannot pronounce that name. Sorry. For the Milwaukee Bucks. After so many years of being a Sonics fan, like I said, I boycotted the NBA for 11 years. I guess I'm going to probably have to adopt the Trailblazers, though. So, you should start at the NBA All-Star break and cover the events. That would be cool. Sports with Friends, maybe? That's what I was thinking, Panhead Bob, and I thought that's kind of what most people had voted for, was Sports with Friends. I think that's what people want. Adopt the nut. Bite your tongue, Bruins 498. I do not like Denver. I'm sorry. I hate to... best team to watch. Nuggets always have fun games. My hatred for the Denver Nuggets runs deep and long. Ever since Dikembe Mutombo and the number 8 seed, number 1 seed, you know, that whole debacle, the whole referee scandal with a referee getting criminally indicted. I can't remember, it was Jack something. I can't remember the referee's name, but I hated him back in the day. I wasn't surprised when they found out he was dirty. And then John Elway coming in and motivating a basketball crowd. That is disgusting. Football with friends keeps the FWF acronym. Yeah, I had thought about that, but then it's just football. And I'm thinking... to be able to supplement Fights with Friends and do more things and have a broader audience, there's so many sports. If I had the time, I could literally stream every night. I mean, I could stream every day. I could stream for probably 6-7 hours every day and cover good, legitimate sporting events. And we had a good Duke game on tonight. Kentucky was playing tonight. I watched a little bit of college basketball. I basically watched about 20 minutes of each game just to kind of try to get back into the swing of things, start to get familiar with everything. But I hate the Denver Broncos. They beat my Packers in the Super Bowl. Went over the salary cap. Nuggets of 69. WWE Royal Rumble on Sunday. You know, I did do one wrestling event. I did the WrestleMania Sunday. Why is it on a Sunday? That's the one thing about NFL games, and I guess I'll have to do it for the regular season, but I kind of like Sunday to be a family day, so maybe I'll just do one NFL game a week when we do the Sundays. We got UFC Royal Rumble already with Khabib versus Conor. Panhead Bob, and I'm not even a BB fan. The WWE Network. Use my password if we ever do wrestling. Excuse me. Sounds great, Bruins 498. Email me. Yeah, if everybody's interested in Royal Rumble, I'll. Assuming everybody would be interested in it, I'll put up a poll later for that. Think about that to see if everybody watches. If there's interest in it, I'll do the Royal Rumble. You guys just have to cut me a little slack because I don't know much about the wrestlers. You guys remember a cage fighting league from 20-ish years ago? Remember a league where everybody was named an animal, but I was too young to remember the league named Ken Shamrock fought. I'm not sure. There were fighters with Red Lion and Black Tiger and stuff like that. I remember the backyard wrestling that everybody was doing there for a while and getting injured. I had a friend that made a bunch of videos lighting mattresses on fire, and man, they did some crazy stunts back in the day. I refused to be part of that because I'm like, it's not real fighting, and people were getting injured left and right. This was kind of a group of friends. I was more just really friends with one guy and then met some other people through him. It was a lot of risk and danger for not enough reward for me. I did watch some bum fights back in the day, Jason. Embarrassingly enough. My favorite thing about the whole bums fight thing is you want to check out a funny video. Go on and look at founder of Bum Fights goes on the Dr. Phil show. So they're showing videos of bum fights. They're talking about how disgusting this guy is. And he walks out and he has shaved his head in a horseshoe shape and dressed and made himself look almost just like Dr. Phil. And Dr. Phil got so pissed. He went off on the guy and kicked him out of there. I don't even know what he did for the rest of the show because I didn't watch it, but I thought that was absolutely hilarious how pissed off Dr. Phil was. No, I don't remember that. Must have been interesting. Yeah, that was great, Jason. It was, but I don't know if it was real or fake. Yeah, I don't know if the bum fights. They weren't all real. They did some stupid stuff that I wouldn't condone to. Like they paid bums like a couple bucks to pull teeth out. If that's real, that's disgusting. I can't support that. And some different things, but I like fighting. You think Shamrock would do fake way back then? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, Shamrock did do WWF. Interesting thing about Shamrock, while we're on the subject, I have no idea how this happens, but did anybody see Ken Shamrock had his own fight league? It was like Shamrock Fights or something like that. And he was, I can't remember exactly what the name of it, but he was denied a fight because he failed a drug test in his own fight league. I don't even have words for that. Anybody know the woman for Bellator this weekend? No. Oh yeah, Shamrock did some WWE though. Let's bring up the. We can go ahead and bring up the Bellator card since that's what's going on Saturday. Let's go ahead and bring up Bellator just real quick here. I was not excited with the depth of this card. Obviously, I'm excited for the main event. Originally, the co-main event was supposed to be Rafael Lovato Jr. versus Gegard Mousasi. Mousasi got injured, and they did not find a replacement opponent for Rafael Lovato Jr. I am excited about seeing Aaron Pico come back against Henry Corrales. And then I guess a lot of people are big fans of this Jake Hager, better known as Jack Swag, another WWF guy though. Really big, muscular dude fighting a guy that's 0-1. I think he probably gets through that. Not a whole lot of names on the rest of this card though. That's kind of been the story lately for Bellator. They have a main event, one or two good fights, and then everything else is kind of blah. And then you have an entire undercard of people that nobody has any idea who any of these. I literally do not know one fighter on the entire undercard. So I won't be doing the undercard. I am excited for Fedor versus Ryan Bader, of course. I found it. Lions Den MMA. Thank you. That's I remember that now. Doing WWF at the end is like an entertainer would do shows in Vegas, like Elvis when they got fat. That's the league is just talking about. Nice. Yeah, Aaron Pico is pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again. All right, I got to be up early in the morning. Thank you guys for joining me, though, on late notice. I just thought there was way too much going on to not cover this tonight. One more prediction, Yoel Romero versus Paul Costa. I'm not sure if I said this before, but I think Romero pulls out one more against Costa. I think he out-wrestles them, wins the unanimous decision. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.